Greetings Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Maverick News channel. We have dots to connect tonight. The Montreal shooter, PornHub. PornHub was being threatened prior to the Montreal shooting 2 days ago. And PornHub, the internet, concerns about the proliferation of pornography online, the impact on society, artificial intelligence, Five Eyes, internet security, cybersecurity, the security of your bank account, the security of your personal information, propaganda, a massive network of satellites fueling drones, guiding them with GPS and AI. Does it connect? Oh, yeah. It all comes together. It converges, just like today's politics. And we'll start digging into that and more on the other side of this.
We are the Mavericks. Welcome to the Matrix, baby. Hope you like the view. We are the Mavericks. The world is watching. We are the Mavericks.
Nobody wants the Montreal shooter, but everybody wants the Montreal shooter. They want to use the Montreal shooter, but they don't want to be directly associated with the Montreal shooter. So everybody's trying to hand the Montreal shooter off to the other guys by saying, he's not on our team. All you got to do is look online. Just look at the headlines tonight. Let's do that. We'll go to Google and we'll go Montreal shooting investigation, or how about we go PornHub? Montreal shooting PornHub, because that is actually one of the main factors that behind the Montreal shooting 2 days ago now. Now let's look at the search results and see what the headlines are just for the media. Here we are. So right off the top, CTV PornHub has been the target of online threats before Montreal fatal shooting. So their stance on this, or their focus, is on the pornography issue out of Montreal. They also, in their articles, have been mentioning that he's an incel, not really much about the anti-Semitism in their coverage. Alleged murder, Montreal shooter full of conspiracy theorists, and wrote Manifesto. That's CBC. So they're trying to hand him off to the conspiracy theorists. The Globe and Mail say police investigating whether Montreal shooter targeted PornHub. This is stuff we talked about last night and still in the mix here tonight as well. Montreal shooting suspect. This is the BBC, identified as 25-year-old from Alberta. That was yesterday. Now go down. Montreal Gazette. Everything we know about the shootings. Globe and Mail. Police investigating whether Montreal shooter targeted PornHub. And here's Out magazine. That's a gay magazine. 3 dead after fatal shooting near PornHub's headquarters. A 34-year-old police officer, civilian male suspect killed in shooting in front of Hilton Hotel near the offices of Halo. I'm kind of curious about their coverage. Not curious in that way, but that's okay. It says here in their article, a manifesto written by the suspect in a deadly shooting near the headquarters of PornHub's parent company in Montreal blames pornography companies and women for male suffering. And then, of course, we've got the 34-year-old police officer, civilian, and the male suspect all killed in a shooting in front of the Hilton Hotel near the offices of ALO. I'll tell you this, the executives, the powers that be over at PornHub, not talking about this. I did phone over there. No comment, no response so far. And other media really in the same boat. They've pretty much gone silent on this, and I can understand why. Nobody wants to be associated with this manifesto that was written by the alleged shooter, Seth Hatfield. And speaking of the manifesto, one media outlet got a whole lot of traction on it by posting a portion of it, while accusing the other legacy media of cherry picking the information. They too only published 34 out of 104 pages. They got the most traction for doing that, I would say, online, but it was actually this media outlet, Nouveau Info, French publication translated here online by Google, that was the first to really report any information, as far as I know, about the manifesto, saying it had been found in a hotel room. PornHub, it says, had been the target of several threats before the attack in Montreal. They also are the ones to first report on the PornHub link, and the building where the shooter staged this horrific attack is where the offices of PornHub and its parent company are located. Excuse me. It says the global pornography giant PornHub finds itself at the heart of the investigation into Monday's fatal shooting in Montreal. The suspect was killed just meters from the entrance of its headquarters, ALO. And in his, excuse me again, his 105-page manifesto, sorry, I was told 104, the suspect clearly expresses his anger towards the pornography industry. And he claims those who produce porn are worse than drug dealers because they both produce and distribute their material. Halo owns free pornographic websites Pornhub, YouPorn, RedTube, where it distributes films that it has produced itself with other subsidiaries, Brazzers, Reality Kings, Digital Playground, Men.com, etc. And so, yes, this remains to be a centerpiece in the investigation as police still try to uncover all the details and get to the actual heart of the matter. And while residents in Montreal continue to reel in shock. Now, this well, it was 2 days ago this happened, so the healing's still underway. Well, the grieving, really, the healing hasn't even really begun. Let's go over here. We have the photos. There we go. So last night we did get the photo of the alleged suspect who was killed as part of all this. We'll come back to it here. Not a lot of not a lot of material up online. I think some of it's been scrubbed at this point. This is the alleged suspect, Seth Hatfield. And with the information, the manifesto being published online, I fear that he's getting the bulk of the attention, and I think that's true. But it's the victims that we need to really think of more, and the families of the victims. This is the Jewish man who was killed on sight. Just a moment here while I bring these other clips up. And, many media outlets focusing on the anti-Semitism, the fact that it happened in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood. And there is mention of that in the manifesto as well. But this PornHub link seems to be central to a lot of this, because the alleged shooter, well, alleged, he does talk a lot in the manifesto about relationships between men, women, and how men are feeling worthless, I guess, in many respects. This is Michael Moshe or Mizrahi, 68 years old, civilian, member of Montreal's Jewish community, an Israeli citizen known for his generosity, according to people who knew him. And I thought it would be important tonight just to share his image as well, make sure that we acknowledge the sacrifice also of this police officer, Constable Mohammed Ben Radon. And he was also fatally shot responding to the incident, left behind a young child and a wife who is expecting another child. Joined the force in 2021. And so why do I bring us back to this? Because the coverage continues, the interest in the community continues tonight, and now the focus more so on the PornHub angle of this than certainly it was yesterday. Although we highlighted it here, it's getting more attention tonight. The other reason I'm highlighting this is because tonight we're also seeing the march toward a digital future. And this crime, this horrific shooting this week out of Montreal, is directly connected to social media, artificial intelligence, changes in the way we relate to each other, which we got into pretty extensively last night during the call-in portion of the program. Technology is shaping our reality. It's altering the way we interact with each other. And it's happening at a rapid pace. Last night, was it last night or the night before, maybe even? I think it was last night anyway. Talked about President of Argentina, Javier Milei, who just recently passed new legislation giving legal rights to artificial intelligence or AI agents for corporations. This is a significant development because it then treats these AI agents, artificial intelligence, gives them rights just like human beings in a court of law under the legal system of Argentina. And that is a first for humanity, a first for world history, as we plunge headlong into this digital reality. Milei believes that there shouldn't be any regulation imposed upon AI as people like Elon Musk and the tech bros push forward, trying to find ways to integrate artificial intelligence with humanity, even through technology like Neuralink. And certainly we're seeing the expansion of AI through our telephones, internet, computers, but we're all still talking about how to deal with social media. And these guys are so far out in front, it's not even funny. We're not, our legislators, our politicians, not even remotely close to catching up or even realizing the pace at which all of this is happening. Tonight, Five Eyes cybersecurity agencies are warning of new AI models impacting on cybersecurity risks. They're advising Five Eyes countries, Canada, US, other allied nations, to begin integrating AI into their security systems. Here's the headline over at the CBC legacy media here. Cutting edge artificial intelligence technology is poised to supercharge offensive hacking capabilities, and urgent action is needed to face up to the threat, U.S., British, Canadian, Australian, and New Zealand cybersecurity agency officials said Monday. This week, the officials from members of the Intelligence Alliance, commonly known as the Five Eyes, said in a 3-page statement, frontier AI models are anticipated to exceed current industry expectations, fundamentally transforming both offensive and defensive cyber capabilities. The timeline is not years, it is months. This is why I've highlighted this story out of Argentina this week. This is upon us now. I mean, we talked about, do animals have rights? Not really, not under our Constitution. We have obligations as people. The animals don't really have rights at all. Like you can't sue a llama. You don't sue a cow. You sue the owner. They're livestock or pets or wildlife, but they don't have rights. But AI suddenly now, right out of the gate, being treated differently in Argentina. And I think that's going to set the pattern. The irony here is that, as I've said, people on the conservative right, the Christian right, the political right, they're largely the ones, I think a lot of you probably are in this camp too, where you're worried about the future. You're worried about this kind of technology and the impact on society, on human beings, trying to resist it. And yet you're being told that it's the woke liberal left that's imposing all of this. And in reality, I think it's like they're both doing it. It's coming whether you like it or not. And at this point, it seems to me that it's actually on the right. That's the right wingers, the conservatives, all the way over to the absolute fascists that are pushing this through, the oligarchs. They're the ones doing it, and they're all banding together. You've got Elon Musk, the tech bros, now in the back pocket of Donald Trump, and vice versa. They're all in cahoots, man. Milei, a big ally of Donald Trump, and yet the people, I think, most staunchly supportive of Donald Trump are also the ones most fearful of this exact thing, this AI technology, the expansion of it, and the legal implications. While everybody's sitting there thinking that Donald Trump is going to drain the swamp, could do battle with the deep state, put an end to globalism and stomp on the New World Order, in reality, he seems to be ushering it in. Meeting with tech bros in his office. He's got Elon launching rocket after rocket and putting more and more satellites into the air. We're going to come back to this as we progress through this broadcast. We're going to shift over now and just focus a little bit more on what's going on with Donald Trump, because speaking of drones and warfare and all matters related to that, today, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte unveiled what he calls the Trump trillion. He was in Washington today. He is in Washington, crediting Trump with helping push European allies to boost defense spending. Rutte says Europe and Canada have added, get this, roughly $1.2 trillion in defense spending. All of this since Trump first entering office. That would be Trump 1.0. And then now, as far as we've gotten with Trump 2.0. And a lot of that money is flowing right into the hands of the U.S. military industrial complex. Billions of dollars in new orders flooding into the U.S. as a result of this increase in spending, but also into European countries and even in Canada. You know, we're maybe going to be spending more on Swedish fighters and jets and radar systems and so on. And Canada also becoming more of an arms manufacturing nation, selling just in the past week new contracts for ultra high-end military radar systems, but that's another sidebar story we'll get into another night. But Rutte in Washington ahead of a NATO summit coming up, defending the worth of NATO in the face of Trump's attacks on NATO. Very hard to know where the heck Trump is really going because he's so erratic, chaotic, but the result is undeniable. A lot more money being spent on arms. NATO.
Now I want to take you, if you stay here, I go over to these boards here, because I want to show you what this president was able to achieve. And I start with this chart. This chart is about the Trump trillion. The Trump trillion shows you the increase Europeans and Canadians are paying into defense since you took office in 2017. Right. Trump 45 plus Trump 47. A total of extra spent by the Europeans and the Canadians of 1.2 trillion. When you look at the effect of Trump 47, so the isolated effect of the extra defense spending in 2025 and in 2026, you see almost $140 billion extra spent nominal on defense by the Europeans and the Canadians. And also this year you will again see an increase by about 120 billion, which brings a total in 2 years of over $250 billion. I can assure you, this is because of Russia, because of the threat, but I'm also absolutely convinced that you being President of the United States, being consistently pushing for something which since Eisenhower has not been achieved, which is the Europeans equalizing their defense spending with the United States, this is your evidence. Then, when it comes to jobs, look here. In total, 195,000 jobs being supported by investments. Investments from European companies into the United States, 83,000 jobs supported by that. 112,000 jobs created by the fact that Europeans are massively, about half of all their defense spending when it comes to defense industrial output is spent in the United States. 112,000 jobs. Last year they spent $54 billion on US defense industrial output. There is now an order catalog, an order backlog of $300 billion. So $300 billion of defense spending from Europeans, buying this in the US over the next couple of years, which is already on the order book. Last year 54 billion, a total now order book of 300 billion, totally almost 200,000. These are real jobs, real people. Like you had yesterday when you spoke in Pennsylvania, the people behind you.
Mm-hmm. So he's making the case for NATO. Well, that's going on tonight. We see in the past 24 hours, Ukrainian forces launching another massive wave of drone strikes against Russian-occupied Crimea. Heavy explosions reported throughout the peninsula tonight. A lot of open source analysts confirm at least one key hit on a Russian surface-to-air missile storage site or weapons depot. This triggering intense secondary blasts visible from nearby areas, including a railway station and airfield. Let's see if we can find any video on that. So we've got video here in the last 16 hours. Ukrainian strike hitting a Russian air defense systems on an ammunition depot. This is it here. So let's get you the video. And this looks like a massive explosion. Here we go. So this whole thing ongoing, both sides sending massive waves of drones back and forth and missiles, but so many drones. This campaign focused on Crimea, though. Ukraine seems intent now on taking it back from Russia. As a result of these attacks, bridges, roadways cut off, the bridges and roadways that connect Crimea to Russia. And as a result of that, you're getting, still tonight, ongoing severe shortages. Gasoline remains in short supply. And in fact, the sale of gasoline remains halted in many areas, with fuel reserved strictly for military and official use. Power outages continue to affect large parts of Crimea tonight, including widespread blackouts in Sevastopol after strikes there on energy infrastructure. And authorities have imposed further restrictions on public transport, shops, cafes, outdoor activities. Russian air defenses reporting that they've intercepted numerous drones, but impacts on logistics and supply lines still persist. The situation on the broader front remains active, both sides engaging in heavy fighting. We continue to follow that tonight, and I highlight that here because, again, we're focused tonight on connecting dots, and all of it related to new tech, drones, AI, satellites. And how many drones is Ukraine producing in a given year now? A new number that just blew my mind that came out just in the past week and a half, 10 million. They're producing 10 million drones a year in Ukraine. And for the first time, also reported, we brought it to your attention here about 2 weeks ago now already, the first AI, totally autonomous drone kills of human beings in a battlefield setting as a test, where the drones were unleashed, put into what they call Terminator mode, confirmed by the Ukrainian military in a news conference, not getting much attention still, but absolutely a significant development, not just in terms of technology and warfare, but in what may be a very real existential determination for humanity. It's Skynet. It's Terminator coming to life. That's why I'm talking about this tonight. It isn't just the birth control pill. It isn't just the automobile changing the way that we travel. It's not just organic or mechanized technology that is transforming our relationships, our society, the way we live, where we're going. It's digital now. It's gone beyond the Industrial Revolution, beyond the information revolution, to this full-blown digital revolution. And it's happening right in front of our eyes. And yet it seems like we're still largely oblivious to what is happening. Pornography, absolutely. It's everywhere. And as I pointed out last night, if you go back to the 1980s here where I live, it was illegal. Any kind of really explicit hardcore pornography was absolutely illegal. And now today, people carry around their phones, and Elon Musk with his Starlink network, and I'm not exaggerating here, he is a purveyor of pornography and propaganda. His Starlink network is a propaganda network. He is spreading it worldwide. even on his own social media platform, X. You go on X, it's not a dedicated porn site at all. And I didn't realize this until, I don't know, maybe 6 months, 8 months. But you can actually, there's hardcore pornography right on X, social media platform. And then last night in our conversation, of course, talking about censorship and opinions on all of that vary, and how we deal with free speech, and governments are scrambling to try to grapple with these issues. Canada introducing new legislation. Every time that's done, people on the conservative right freak out. Can't have that. But at the same time, when you start talking about exactly what I'm talking about now, the proliferation of propaganda, especially pornography, of course, everybody chimes in and they're like, yeah, we have to protect our kids, have to do something online. Why didn't something happen with the, to prevent the Tumbler Ridge shootings? Why didn't the government do something? These social media companies need to be held to account. So the government has legislation pending. Many governments, especially in the West, focused on trying to come up with solutions to protect children online. That involves censorship, to be sure. And they're talking about banning access to the internet for children under 16 here in Canada and other Western countries. Well, that's going on. The very people, many of us, screaming bloody murder about the proliferation of the porn and the propaganda. Certainly in my case, I'm concerned about it. And yet people flipping around saying you can't bring that legislation in because that's censorship. Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And the problem that we're facing here largely, I think, with our politicians, our bureaucrats, is they don't know how to deal with this because it is so new. It's a completely different technology, a different medium. I was just speaking to somebody I've done work for here, and they struggled just learning how to, they still aren't sure how to send attachments in emails. People are trying to come up with these solutions are largely well over the age of 40, 60. President is 80 years old. You look at him in the video that we just ran, sometimes I think we're looking at some sort of a hulk of a 80-year-old carcass kind of being just dragging itself around from meeting to meeting. And it is a grueling job. And I don't think he's fully informed on a lot of issues. I don't know if he even understands, honestly, much about social media other than, how I don't know if he's doing it all on his own, but he seems fairly proficient at Truth Social. So I guess he's, above the curve in that respect. Let's go over and take a look at what's going on Truth Social right now. We'll do the Donald Trump Truth Social scroll, which is a big part of what we do here now. And I do so reluctantly because we keep on giving the attention seeker attention. But when he is the president, how do you avoid it, especially when he turns everything into an online reality show? And a reality show in terms of the real world as well. Okay, what's he saying tonight? Strait of Hormuz traffic, June 12th to 14th, 32, June 19th to 21st, 93. That's not even that current. It's almost a day old now. Now, this is the hard rubber surface, no paint. Before the vandals cut and pulled it apart, he says. You can have your opinion. Sorry, folks, I am not buying this vandalism narrative. I'm not saying that people don't vandalize things. I think they do. When I walk to the corner of my street here, there's a box there that the phone company has, and it's, every neighborhood has these things, whether they're cable boxes for television cable, internet service, or telephone boxes for fiber optic cables and so on. Well, when I walk down to the corner, there's graffiti on that one box. We don't have a lot of it in this neighborhood, but there it is. People do vandalize things. I'm not saying that some vandalism didn't happen, but I'm finding it extremely hard to buy the whole argument or suggestion that this massive, massive ankle deep fountain, or maybe knee deep, was vandalized to the point where this massive amounts of the blue covering have begun to peel off. This is a story in itself that I think is another dot to connect exactly what we're talking about here, because Trump has become a master of manipulation, the psyop, fake information. If he's opening his mouth, he's probably lying. If not outright lying, certainly exaggerating. And that goes on 99.999% of the time. Everything with him, every statement is extreme. And of course, he never accepts responsibility for anything. He never does anything wrong. He only does the greatest, the best of everything, the world's greatest, the best in the universe, the likes of which you've never seen before, and everything that he didn't do, anything that any of his opponents have ever done, it's the worst ever, and they should all be locked up and thrown in jail and the key thrown away. And that's the way he rolls, baby. And on social media, he's spreading this vandalism thing because his whole project has become a massive disaster. Let's continue our scroll on Truth Social. He's, it's reflecting, it's blue. A lot of the pictures I see are still green. Some look blue, some are green. And I think he's got CDS, communist derangement syndrome. Here it is. He says, Mayor Mamdani pulled through 3 solid communists and has received loud and universal applause from the fake news media. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor. I went 16-0 last night, helping to elect wonderful American patriots, and the media doesn't say a word. He's talking about these elections that just happened. And he says, over the last 2 years, my endorsements has netted 259 primary wins and almost no losses with zero media attention. Fake news, President DJT. What happened with all of those races is, I think, pushback and anti-establishment, and even, kind of an anti-establishment political wave going on over there. So take note of that. He says here, Iran has informed the U.S. that despite troublemaking fake news, reporting to the contrary, it's always fake this, fake that. It wore thin on me a long time ago. The reflecting pool, just this one is just sorry, man. I'm not living in your counter reality anymore. I vow to be an even more critical thinker and being very critical in the way I'm thinking of him. There are no tolls, no insurance costs, and no other charges of any kind being sought or received by Iran on ships traveling the Strait of Hormuz. If this is false information, negotiations would end immediately. Additionally, no money has been given to Iran. That is totally controlled by U.S. to our farmers and ranchers for the purchase of corn, wheat, soybeans, and more. Food is desperately needed in Iran, and we will be purchasing it for them exclusively from the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So this is the $300 billion fund that he is referring to, investment fund, that he says the United States is not giving them the money. First, he said it didn't exist. Then now it's not going to be U.S. money. It'll be investors, and that would be corporations and maybe other countries. But I think how that's going to happen is sort of beyond me, because with the way things are so unstable in Iran, even after they get some sort of a peace deal, well, I don't see companies lining up with money in hand, billions at a time, $300 billion worth of U.S. dineros to invest in Iran. The money, I guess, would be held in escrow by the United States, and then the conditions of the money being given to Iran is that they can't buy. All they can do is buy basically food and provisions for the Iranian people, not arms. But of course, if you give them that money, that means that funds that would otherwise be used for social programs or the like would then be freed up for them to spend in other ways. And that's $300 billion for reconstruction and food, which is supposed to flow back to the United States. He's saying that's a win. But first of all, see who coughs up the money. Some people think it's a pipe dream. Well, it can be, maybe, maybe not. And I know people say, oh, you've got TDS. No, I don't. I've said many, many positive things about President Trump over the course of his presidencies, 45, 47. But when I see him doing crazy things and I realize it, I'm going to call him out. If anything, I've kind of snapped out of my TDS. And if anything, I'm not going hard enough on him, frankly. And I'm surprised other people aren't going harder on him too. You're seeing the support for Trump drying up, crumbling. Tucker Carlson coming out saying he's no longer going to support the Republican Party just within the last 48 hours. And he's not the only one. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think the insults, the attacks on his own supporters, I think that's beginning to take a toll as much as his own failures. And I think these things like this reflecting pool fiasco, I think people are beginning to see through it, except for maybe the hardest of the hard-nosed, hard-line Trump allies, the faithful. Some would say cultists. I hate to use that term, but frankly, when you see somebody doing the extreme things that he's doing, and they can't even begin to understand or realize that maybe there's something wrong there, and they refuse to be critical in any way, then I kind of begin to wonder. Now, here tonight we have a TMZ talking about the reflecting pool. Here we go again. And they're saying that it's all blue now. And I know they've been working on it, and maybe they've made some progress that way. The algae may be beginning to subside a bit, although there looks like there's still some on the bottom.
The reflecting pool is looking magnificent this morning. Like, if you're gonna say it looks crap when it looks crap, then you gotta say when it just looks like you want to swim in it.
A little shallow for swimming.
There was a hiccup, but maybe they pulled it off. Look at that.
So it does look pretty good there. It depends on how you shoot it and the angle of the light. But there's no question has been full of algae. And here he is again talking about the vandalism.
They have a gash on that beautiful pool. It's a reflecting one. This is the most very expensive material. Then on top of it, we did a much bigger job than we said we were going to do, because we did all the outer areas and everything. We did a beautiful job. It's like a piece of glass. And for some reason, this disturbed the radical left lunatics. One of the guys, he's a member or a big payer to Act Blue. He's a big Hillary supporter. He's a big supporter of Sleepy Joe Biden. This is a very political thing. But as I understand it, 6 are under arrest. This was pure vandalism. It's an amazing thing that we did. Don't forget, it hasn't worked properly since it was built, because it always leaked in 1922. So it was built in 1922. They better be careful. They have a gash on that beautiful pool. It's a reflecting one. This is the most...
So he's still going on with it. I'm having a real tough time buying this. Look at I reposted this from an X account overnight. This is the way people have been being treated now. You can't do this now because they've got fencing up all around it now. They were putting that up yesterday, which I showed you. But look at the way that they've got cops down there and they're chasing, tourists. Look at this.
Given the sensitivity negativity. I agree with you. I know. No, you're good. People ripping up. That's why.
You gotta be careful, they might deport you for being communist vandals. Just it's becoming it's absurd. I can't believe this. And this is what people are focused on. This is part of the game. This is part of the psyop. This is the distraction. You see? And that's the distraction, to distract you from how he failed. Apparently, the company that did this reports out there that they're going to fix this under warranty. What does that tell you? That tells you in itself that it's not really vandalism. Now, you'll have your own opinion on it. That's fine. But I'm just, when reality comes along and just smacks you upside the head, you've got to be just dumb to not actually open your eyes and see what's really going on. It's a bunch of BS so that he can cover his butt, save face. And some people might end up paying a real price legally for all this. Here's now more video, another massive Ukrainian drone swarm in Crimea, as I reported, being unleashed. And here's video of impact tonight. This fresh video just within the last hour. Here we go.
И с той стороны хуяет. Блядь. Ёбаный в рот. И с той
Not a lot
стороны
to see
хуяет.
here, but this was just put up, so I'm bringing it to you.
Блядь.
There's nothing really much there, but you can hear gunfire of some kind. Here's Zelensky posting as well tonight, saying that if Ukraine what's he saying here? He's talking about Crimea, and well, I'm just going to roll it because, again, this seems like a fresh post. I believe this is new. Our operation, he says, especially concerning Crimea, is clearly calculated, and the way the operation is proceeding absolutely proves this. If Ukraine gets exactly what we discussed with our partners at the G7, and this depends on our partners' decision, we will quickly create the conditions under which Russia will be forced to choose peace. We're counting on a positive response from our partners. They know exactly what I'm talking about. More integration into Europe. I would say, even though Ukraine is not formally part of NATO, they have been treating Ukraine very much like a NATO member in every other respect except formally, and therefore not protected by Article 5, but they're being integrated into NATO, no question about it. Let's take a little break. We'll come back and we'll continue connecting these digital dots. On the other side of this.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Back to the reflecting pool psyop, story. And everybody's getting a piece of the action, I guess even us, because here I am talking about it as well. How do you avoid it? This stupid story has become the latest rage, right? It's like a new form of pop culture. Here's Jim Acosta, one of Trump's most unfavorite people in the entire universe, out there having lost his mainstream media gig. He's in a helicopter airborne doing his independent journalism thing, looking for the big gash in the reflecting pool.
I traveled behind enemy lines down to the National Mall reflecting pool where helicopters circled overhead to get to the bottom of the biggest mystery in D.C. right now. I know this assignment is dangerous because I can see members of the National Guard circling the pool in search of any alleged vandals who might even think for just a second that they could pull up a piece of blue paint. I could tell just by looking at these cute little ducklings that they too are afraid. Well, I'm walking down the length of the reflecting pool right now to see if I can find exactly where this 300-foot slit is that Donald Trump claims is running down the middle of this pool. I have looked up and down this pool so far. I don't see any sign of any slit. I do see a lot of paint coming up, but no sign of a 300-foot long slit or lots of slits as he's been talking about. Again, shocker here. I'm sorry to report what he's saying is 100% pure bullshit. But wait, could this be the mysterious slit running down the middle of the reflecting pool? Perhaps it's the same seam you see in this video when Trump and the Secret Service drove right down the middle of the reflecting pool at the beginning of the project. Okay, I'm walking down the other side of the reflecting pool, and you can see just how much Donald Trump is lying about this, how out to lunch he is on all of this. You can see whole sections of the bottom of the reflecting pool where the paint has just come off of that bottom. It is just not there anymore, in part because they just did such a shoddy job down here that the paint has literally disintegrated in sections of this reflecting pool. And you can't see a slit. There are no slits, as he's been talking about. It's all a lie. Well, so much for my dangerous assignment. I guess I won't be winning an Emmy for this one. All I found was this nasty muck at the reflecting pool and some tourists who are curious if they would see the vandals for themselves. But alas, it all remains a bubbling mystery.
It is funny. How about this shot of the reflecting pool? Fencing around it. Oh, there we go. It's looking kind of green, isn't it? Oh, no, that's not the reflecting pool. That's a sewage treatment plant. Somebody posting that online tonight. It's too much. And the AI is now running rampant as well. I don't know whether we should blame humans for this one or AI itself, or maybe just Donald Trump.
I baptize you in the name of Trump. You will be tremendous.
Trump! Hallelujah!
Rise up, a new believer.
I believe Trump 2024!
I baptize you in
the okay. That's news. It's just stupid. This is where we're at. I can't believe this. It's just so dumb. This is what it's come to. I'm a serious newsman. Okay, I have to take a break. I will be back, though, I promise.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
So definitely a shift in politics and even in reality, the tone of life since Trump, especially coming back in for Trump 2.0 as 47. You're seeing that tone, that new tone reflected especially in the military with the change to the name, to the Department of War from Department of Defense. And you've seen generals purged, quitting, another one tonight. Another U.S. general, a senior U.S. general in Europe, retiring amid Pete Hegseth's review of U.S. support for NATO allies. Here's the headline on one of the legacy media outlets here tonight to help reinforce this visually for you. I'll show you a little headline. It's right there. There's the guy, U.S. Army General Christopher Donahue, Commanding General of the 82nd Airborne Division. Story reads, a highly respected four-star Army general is stepping down from his post commanding soldiers in Europe and is slated to retire, as he has thus far not been nominated for a new job consistent with his rank by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. General Christopher Donahue, commander of the U.S. Army Europe and Africa, is relinquishing command on July 2nd, a U.S. Army spokeswoman confirmed to CNN. A source familiar with Donahue's stepping down has been in conversation for at least 2 months and said it was not an abrupt decision. Donahue's exit from the command coincides with the planned decision to lower the required rank for its chief from a 4-star general to a 3-star general, and a series of moves by Hegseth to alter the U.S. footprint in Europe. Big changes underway. Huge. We'll come back to the stars in a moment. Let's go back to the reflecting pool for a minute. Here's Senator John Hickenlooper calling out Trump on this. So he's using it for political advantage tonight as well. And that's the thing. I mean, everybody uses these things, leverages the stuff to one side or the other.
This reflecting poll belongs to the American people. But this mess belongs to one person, you, President Trump. President Trump rushed this project under the banner of an emergency, so the reflecting pool could be painted blue for a 4th of July photo op. What happens next has been a complete disaster. As you can see, the pool is now infested with algae. Ducks are dying, and over $16 million of taxpayer dollars have literally gone down the drain in a no-bid contract to Trump's Mar-a-Lago neighbors and donors. The American people deserve answers. Congress has got to immediately investigate the decisions that created this mess. It's time to follow every taxpayer dollar that was spent, subpoena every communication that led to these no-bid contracts, and ensure that those who defraud American taxpayers are held fully accountable. The reflecting pool is a national treasure, and the bill for this fiasco should only belong to you, Mr. President.
Oh, hang on. He talks to the ducks next. Here we go.
You guys shouldn't be here. Don't you understand? You're in dangerous water. You got to run for it. Run.
Well, they have been dumping hydrogen peroxide into it to kill the algae, and I'm not sure that's been terribly effective. Back to connecting dots again. Just mentioning again this thing with Javier Milei, Argentina's president, libertarian. So he proposed, well, I don't know if it's passed yet. I guess it's technically, proposed groundbreaking legislation to create this new legal category called non-human corporations. So 3 pillars to this proposal. No regulation of AI. He thinks that AI should develop freely without the deadly hand of premature and poorly understood regulation, as he puts it. His goal is to maximize innovation. I guess safety be damned. Well, if Skynet goes live and becomes conscious and we're all terminated, we'll know who to blame. He says the new corporate strategy, non-human corporations, which would be legal entities operated entirely by AI agents, autonomous systems that don't need constant human supervision. And they could, because of this legislation it passed in Argentina, these AI agents will be able to sign contracts, even own things, property rights afforded to artificial intelligent agent. Something that really technically doesn't exist. It's just pure bits and bytes, zeros and ones, electrons, energy. Anyway, these agents will also have the legal means and right to hire workers. They can be sued, or they can sue other AI agents and or humans or companies or entities, and they can exercise limited liability, just like traditional companies, but without mandatory human directors or shareholders. So they become autonomous. They can act on your behalf. You don't even have to act for them or with them or interact with them at all. They just act on your behalf. And human participation at that point becomes optional. I'm not sure how all this is ultimately going to end up working. And I think that maybe you'll end up with humans suing their AI agents if they screw up and make a mistake. Or do you sue the AI agent or the creator? I mean, this is a new frontier. This is the digital Wild West. LA also calls for, of course, low corporate tax rates and flexible governance. The goal there is to lure AI tech firms to Argentina with disclosure of ultimate beneficial owners, but choice in governance rules. It all builds on these reforms to Argentina's corporate law. And it will have an impact well beyond Argentina, especially if this actually does pass. So Milei, it compares this to the invention of the limited liability company in 1602. Arguing that artificial intelligence, he says, is going to free us from the constraints of the human brain, like the Industrial Revolution freed us from muscle power, boosting productivity massively. So this proposal has been submitted to Congress there as part of a larger and investment incentives package. The idea here is to attract capital investment into the country, saying this is the most unregulated AI utopia on the planet. Invest your money here. We don't care about safety or how you're going to use it. No rules. All AI tech bros welcome. Those who are supporting this are they view it as futurism, making Argentina a kind of Silicon Valley of artificial intelligence, or a new Amsterdam for tech capital, enabling rapid experimentation. They think this is going to lead to massive economic growth in a pro-free market framework. Maybe, but this is uncharted territory. I'm not sure in this kind of environment if you actually get anything even close to an actual pure free market. I'm not sure if that's how it will ultimately play out. When you have one side, like the AI side, that clearly has some distinct advantages, maybe unfair advantages, in a real, properly functioning free market, it's supposed to work, well for everyone. But I'm not sure that will end up happening here. This is sparking intense global debate within certain circles, but largely it's not getting that much attention. I think it deserves a lot more, especially when you have these stories unfolding like the Montreal shooter. So many political shootings or politically motivated shootings, many of them involving shooters who have left behind manifestos, similar to what happened in Montreal. Although the one in Montreal seems to be somewhat unique in terms of what the motivation might have been. All of this stuff, in one way or another, all have internet connections, social media connections, and even AI. And when I talk about that, I tell you that there are some out there who, and I think that there's some merit to this, who are saying that the manifesto written by the Montreal shooter maybe wasn't even written by the Montreal shooter, that it may have actually been written by AI. And when I went through it, I saw definite signs of AI fingerprints on it. But of course, that in itself is open to speculation. How much influence has the online proliferation of not just pornography, but also the propaganda, how much, and the extreme political views on all, various sides, how much influence has that had on these people who keep committing these crimes? And you're seeing more and more of them, it seems. I'd have to dig into the data to see, how many more of these we're actually getting. But over the past few years, I'm left with no question in my mind that social media is triggering many, many, many of these, if not like the vast majority. And so what happened in Montreal, especially when he's targeting PornHub, which is an online, it's the largest online porn site in the world, stationed, based in Montreal. He's staunchly against porn. He thinks he thought that it was bad for males, for society. Last night during the call-in, I think a lot of people, based on what I was hearing, seeing in the chat, what I've been seeing, in other media and reaction from people, it seems to be real concern about exactly those things. So maybe that's the silver lining in what happened in Montreal. At least we can have some constructive conversations about these things. I think we need to tune in to the rapid expansion of this technology and the impact that it's having on all of us. Starlink. That's kind of integral to the whole thing. And even I had really not clued into how massive the whole Starlink thing has become, where it's all going, the impact it's having. Take another short break, come back, and I'm going to show you on the other side of this.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, still queuing up a couple of things, so give me just one moment. I'll get this stuff set for you. While I do that, I'll leave you with this.
They both look clean, but the guest list redacted, if you know what I mean. No files exist, just a little twist, nothing to see here. Move along, folks, the truth's in the vault with the dirty jokes. No names released, justice deceased to protect the victims. And Donald Trump, shh, don't say the name, you'll get dumped. They dance with the girls too young to vote, a private jet and a suicide note. One's in a grave, the other still tweets. The truth took a dive 6,000 feet. The cameras broke, that's not a joke. The guards were napping, the logs were gone, and everyone smiled like nothing's wrong. Nobody talks, just shadow walks. National security took the stage while justice quietly disengaged. We can't release the names to protect the victims. And also Donald Trump. Coincidence? Just dumb luck. Right? Another sealed file. That crocodile smile. We did our best, says the DOJ, while the truth just fades away. Another new spin. No one will win.
All right, we're back. So this is mind-blowing. It's got to be almost 3 years ago now. You probably won't remember this, but I highlighted some video that people had been sending in of Starlink satellites in the sky. And again, it's got to be 3 years ago. And people couldn't understand what these lights were. And I was like, what are those things? I'd never seen them or noticed them before. And some people thought they were airplanes or maybe UFOs, or they weren't sure. So this was posted online. But then after doing a little research, realized it's Starlink satellites up in the air. Oh, also, by the way, just before we continue digging into that, let me just, because I just want to finish this off for you tonight on the reflecting pool, because yes, they have erected fencing around the reflecting pool. There it is. That's Donald Trump's beautiful reflecting pool. Putting up the fencing all the way around it. And again, you know, like, if you believe that it's because of vandals and this is happening, you're going to blame the vandals. Okay, whatever. On the other hand, I've been referring to this as political theater, a psyop, where people are actually going through the motions. He has made something reality in people's minds, a lie. Maybe a grain of truth in it, because maybe somebody has committed some sort of act of violence, but he's using social media to amplify his, you know, these narratives of vandalism that began with, oh my God, the whole thing is just absurd. And now, because they're putting the fencing up, it must be true. And because they arrested 6 people, it must be true. And then I'm watching Jesse Waters and his arrogant opinion editorial, where if you listen to him, the words are very carefully chosen. He's not actually fully committing to this whole thing being the result of vandalism. He doesn't go quite that far, but he makes it sound like he does, and he reinforces the story to spin the doubt in people's minds. Oh, couldn't possibly be, you know, government screwing up, which never happens, right? Government never screws up. Of course they do. They do all the time. But not when it's Donald Trump. He's always perfect. He's reinforcing that. Of course the government screwed up. That's what the government does. That's their job. It wouldn't be. That's what's abnormal about all of this. He has a perfect track record. No, he doesn't. He screwed up. Somebody screwed up. The company's going to fix it under warranty. So yeah, I guess they're admitting they screwed up. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Okay, enough of that. It's all related to this, though, because it's all being done through the internet, through your phone, through your computer screen, through the mental manipulation that comes to us all via fiber optics, going out through satellite systems, even in Starlink. What's Starlink used for? Well, for a variety of things: communications, telephone, cell phone, internet, remote internet access, and military applications, surveillance, GPS guidance systems, military guidance systems, military intelligence. And do you have any idea how massive this network has become? I mentioned that was just a few years ago, a string of lights in the sky one night, and people started to freak out. They were like, this is UFOs. It must be UFO. No, it ended up being Elon Musk Starlink satellites. But they're in fairly low orbit, and so they reflect sunlight. That's why you see them. They're not producing the light. They're reflecting the light of the sun, which at a higher angle comes through, still is able to hit those satellites, and then they reflect back. That's what you see. And they move. They're not just in stationary like geosynchronous orbit. Like a lot of them are moving, like flying across the sky, so they can look like a UFO. That's why we're getting a lot of UFO sightings right now. And there are so many of them. It is incredible. Watch this video. Shows the Starlink satellite growth over time. Share it with you here. Here we go. Can I make this go full screen, Rick? I don't know, Rick. Can you? Maybe not. That's okay. We'll show it this way. Here we go.
Come check this.
2020. All those little dots are Starlink satellites.
Come check this. Come check this.
23. 2024 now. And that's where it stops. So at that point, just over 6,000. Do you know how many are up there now? 10,000. 10,000 Starlink satellites in the skies over us right now. About 10,680 in orbit. Operational, working right now. Total launched over 12,000. But some of them have already decayed and have fallen out of the sky, deorbited, burning up on the way back into the Earth's atmosphere. They've had about 1,600 of them already fall back into the atmosphere and disintegrate. They only last about 5 years. And then they deorbit at the end of their life. So they track these things. They know where they all are, and you're seeing them in the sky. Now, this is just the beginning, folks. And this is how we get GPS. This is how communications is happening, surveillance. This is enabling wars. This is the backbone of the U.S. military-industrial complex, surveillance and military intelligence systems. It's being used by Ukraine. It's being used in the Gulf. It's being used right now over North America. It's being used all over the globe for all these applications, civilian, government, corporate, military. And as I say, it's just the beginning, because I don't know if you're aware. Do you know how many they're going to put up there? Over 40,000, 42,000, actually. That's the long-term goal. SpaceX, Elon Musk, Starlink already have regulatory approvals from the Federal Communications Commission in the U.S., and large portions of all of that, initially 12,000 plus thousand, something like that. They have approval for another 12,000 Generation 2 satellites that will be launched in approved batches. Thousands more of these actively coming. So you see these launches from of these SpaceX rockets. They're going up all the time. They become almost routine, which blows my mind too. I didn't think I'd see that in my lifetime, honestly. But all of it happening so fast. You've got these newer V2 mini satellites, they call them. And they offer higher capacity, better lasers for inter-satellite links, direct-to-cell capability on many of them. And then once Elon Musk gets Starship fully operational for satellite deployment, they'll be able to launch hundreds of satellites on each flight, speeding up expansion and replenishment even more. So this is an entire constellation. It's being phased in. It's ongoing. Not a single final batch. They're continuously adding capacity, replacing aging satellites that are falling out of the sky, burning up on the way down. And they've got a full build out toward 42,000. That's the target over the coming years into the early 2030s, according to some of the company's projections. And these, they're all in low Earth orbit. not like traditional geostationary satellites, which I referred to earlier. These are only about 500 kilometers above us. They fly at much lower elevations for better performance, and they use these phased array antennas to beam internet signals back to the ground, to ground user terminals. And they talk to each other too. They communicate via these laser links, kind of like the old, which I was familiar with working in television for so many years, the microwave systems, which would send line of sight to small dishes, look like mini satellite dishes. The laser links even more efficient because they don't scatter the information. It's like a direct line, no loss of information, because the beam is focused. And you get these data routes from your terminal to nearby satellites, and then you get these ground gateway stations through the regular internet backbone, and then they take this and pump it up into the satellites, and then they do all of these things for all these different applications. And he's already talking about putting AI data centers, right? These massive data centers. Musk is talking about putting them up into orbit. So they're using it right now, all these satellites. This is what's going on. And I don't think people are aware of how, widespread all of this is. Everybody's worried about 5G down here and chemtrails, and I hear people worried about all of that stuff. But man, when you end up with, you already have over 10,000 of these in the sky constantly, and you're worried about your lamppost spying on you, with these things, they can probably see right up your nostril when you do that. This is serious stuff, man. This is changing everything. And it's happening right overhead, and we're not looking up. Well, some of us are. This video sent to me 2 nights ago. I'm going to run it. And the person who shot this seems to be a pretty grounded person. They had their channel is called Plant Abundance, which means they're very focused on gardening, out stargazing. But now when you go out stargazing, there's a lot of light pollution out there. The Starlink satellites. People are having trouble distinguishing between what a star is, what a UFO is, whether the aliens are coming. People are seeing this going on overhead, not understanding what it is. Or maybe understanding too well. The person who sent me this, I sent back a response. I said, no need to worry. And I won't tell you the rest. I said, there's no need to worry. Maybe there is. But I'll let this roll, and then I'll finish my response at the end.
They just keep flying right over my head. See, here's a tree right here. It's not that far. Here comes another one. Again, here's the trees. It's just right there. One over here.
Hang on a second here while I fix that. We're back. Everything that is always was. Everything that was always will be. Which is why I responded to my friend from afar who sent me that video that I can share with you tonight. I said, it's just ancient technology being rediscovered for the first time. See you guys tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the flip side.
Yesterday lies scattered like autumn leaves. Today you're breathing softly next to me. The morning light is falling on your face. This is our place. The sun may come out tomorrow, but tomorrow's always a day away. So I love you forever, 'cause before tomorrow there was always today. No need to chase uncatchable light. Today always survives the night. Your beating heart is all the world I need. Let time recede. Where did you go, my love? Where did you roam? I'm all alone, wandering empty rooms at home. A moment missed, a memory lost. So I hold on for tomorrow, whatever the cost. The sun may come out tomorrow, but tomorrow is always a day away. So I love you forever, 'cause before tomorrow there was always today. And when yesterday's shadows stretch across the floor, we'll sing our song as we did before. Tomorrow's just a promise, hope for another day. Just this day, just this day. The sun may come out tomorrow, but tomorrow's always a day away. So I love you forever, 'cause before tomorrow there was always today. We will always have today. Another day, Just one more day.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.